my toes, and also keeps you on your toes as well, which is all good. And yes, today's show, we are, of course, open for business. This is the show that we started back in March just to help business owners come on and tell us whether they were open or what they were doing during the lockdown in the UK. It's expanded, and now we have amazing guests, very motivational, highly motivational, some, and today's in particular, from all over the world. And today is no exception. We have got Dominique Brightmon on, all the way from Maryland, I believe, in the US of good old US of A, our good friends. And Dom is, well, what can we say about Dom? Best-selling author of 2 books, Go North, the tips and techniques to advance yourself, Stay the Course. And you've got an upcoming book, which I believe you're co-authoring or contributing to, Crappy to Happy. What a great title. Loving that. Also, Dom is a certified member of the John Maxwell team. And he is, if you've never listened to it, you really should. He is also the host of the Go North podcast, which is a top-rated self-help podcast, where basically you talk to a lot of different people, Dom, but mainly authors. And can you tell us how on earth did you get started, and introduce yourself to the good folk of wherever's watching?
Yes. So for all the Rolexes out there on the wrist watching Nick Wood's awesome live stream show, you are freaking fabulous. That's right, folks. You are valuable. And a big shout out to one of the special Ks in my life, Kim O'Neill, for the introduction. And I'm basically grateful to be with you, Nick. You basically read through the good stuff. Best-selling author, certified leadership trainer with the John Maxwell team, and host the Going North podcast. And my mission is to basically coach, equip, and empower others to share their stories and enter the business of immortality known as authorship. And what got me started on the Going North podcast was basically, it was actually my book itself, and realizing that I needed a new way to market my book, because funny enough, when my podcast's title is based off my first ever book called Going North, and I figured, you know what, I needed to market my book, and to make it even better and bigger, instead of having it be all about me, I decided to basically create this podcast as a platform to give self-published first-time authors a platform to share the stories and get their feet wet, because if one good person sees something good in you, you can run for a lifetime. And it expanded and exploded so much that folks actually put me on their lists of top self-help podcasts in the world for 3 years in a row. And I'm like, dude, I didn't even know. And it was Steve Olsher too. I didn't even know who he was. And he's like and I know him now for sure because of his podcast magazine. He's the founder of that. And I didn't know the guy. I didn't pay to be on the list. I don't know any of the other folks on the list personally. But if someone else really says something that highly of you and the whole world knows about it, then it's truth and not fiction, because it's not coming out of my own mouth. And heck, that's even one thing for folks who are open for business, is to realize that, hey, get as many testimonials as you can, screenshot as many testimonials as you can. And when you get folks to really be your metaphorical evangelists, to really see you as a queen maker or a king maker, then folks will definitely want to at least put their eyes and ears around you for a bit and give you a bit of attention to see, all right, let's see if this person's the real deal. Let's see what they got going on, and let's see if it's going to be something beneficial and helpful.
Yeah, I have to say, from a marketing point of view, with my marketing background, yeah, testimonials are so powerful. And I guess being an author, so you had your book first of all, so I wanted to come to how you started to write your book and the journey there. But of course, you look on Amazon and books have thousands of testimonials, and the good ones have all, 4 or 5 stars. You want the 5 stars, I guess. But yeah, you've just got an absolute wealth of testimonial that you can use, and it's all other people promoting your stuff for you.
Oh yeah, it's one of the best things ever, because it doesn't come off as bragging. People are fans of braggarts, so it's like, all right, good. All right, I'm glad they said it and not me. And heck, even sometimes they'll say it better than what you could say it yourself, because folks have given me compliments. I'm like, oh shoot, that wasn't even on my radar. And I'm like, all right, now I'm going to put that in a future presentation, podcast interview or something, because like, hey, heck, like before we pressed the start record button and went live, we were talking about how we all need each other, and basically our environments growing up kind of put us in this bad predicament of wrong way of thinking, making you think that if you ask for help, that shows that you're weak. No, that's actually a sign of strength, because that shows that you're willing to go to someone who knows a bit more than you about something you don't know much about, to help make you look better and good, because that's really how a lot of successful people are. You see these self-made millionaires and billionaires. It's like, no, it's all a lie, because someone had to pay for that product. Someone had to invest in you. No one's self-made. Someone else had to invest in you. Someone had to believe in you and your product. Heck, even if you had an angel investor, that doesn't make you self-made. That just means you were persuasive enough and someone bought into your dream enough that they decided to invest in you. So that's really kind of the things I'm really passionate about, is realizing that people need people. And as a good buddy of mine, Mike Sheila, likes to say, people helping people is good stuff.
Yeah, that's a great little quote. And actually, you've got a good one. What was it? Advance. I read it down. Advance others to advance yourself. I wanted to get that right. And that is, you can read versions of that in any number of books. I think Zig Ziglar, I think, was one which said, help enough people get what they want, and you will get what you want. And it's that, as you brilliantly, succinctly put, advance others to advance yourself. When did you kind of really take that mantra on?
That mantra came on after reading a powerful book that probably led to The Secret being launched back in 2005, 2006. It's a book by Wallace D. Wattles, The Science of Getting Rich. And I believe it was in chapter 9, I believe it mentioned the advancing man and the advancing man philosophy, where it mentions how you should give thought to helping others first and not really thinking about business. You should be the person that has that personality. It's all about really giving advancement to all that come across you, because really you want to be a magnet and attract business and attract prosperity into your life and attract good into your life, because we're all magnets. And to make our magnet, our metaphorical Wi-Fi signal, stronger to connect with the good in the world, we have to put ourselves in that proximity, in that position, to be basically good, if not great. Like the classic phrase of the 5 people you hang around the most, you're going to be the 6. And it's so darn true, because looking back over this past decade of mine, I've noticed that when I gained some weight, some of the folks that I was listening to more often, they were a little closer to the heavyweight side of the game, as opposed to 10 years ago when I was extra skinny coming out of high school at my goodness, I think it was like 155, 158. And all my friends were skinny. So it's like, it's so darn true. You may not see it immediately at first, even though it's beneficial you see as quickly as possible, but it's just really, that's just a major thing.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Two things. One thing I wanted. Yeah, you're the 6th of the 5. And you want to feel sorry for the other 5. You don't want to be
exactly.
I'm the one that makes the other 5 look good, but that works for me. And I didn't know. We didn't talk about this beforehand, but Wallace Wattles' book, The Science of Getting Rich. My goodness, that is a game changer. Absolutely, it's one of my favorite books. But I've got an embarrassing story to tell. I had a friend of mine, Crosby, who's a mindset. He calls himself a mindset technician, mindset coach, and he studied that at the same time as Rhonda Byrne did, who wrote The Secret, and he lives not too far away from me here, about 5-10 miles away, and he said to me, he got a book. He's got a book, and he rewrote The Science of Getting Rich, but he put it in plain English at the back of his book. And he said to me, he said, you need to read that. You need to read that. So I read his book, didn't read The Science of Getting Rich part. And then last year, I was, to my absolute shame, last year I was rereading his book again. And I thought, I'll read this extra bit that he'd put in the back. And I was thinking, my God, this is good. And I thought, I wish I'd got the original. And I was looking on my bookshelf. Years ago, when I was an accountant, I used to fly from Germany to the UK once a week. Spent a lot of time in airports, a lot of time in airport bookshops, and I used to get lots of different books. Read most of them, but a lot of them, they just got put on the shelves. I had got a pristine copy of Wallace Wattles' The Science of Getting Rich on my bookshelf, and I was like, my God. And yeah, I just studied and studied and studied that from last year. It is absolutely a game changer, life changer. It's amazing. So if you haven't read that, guys, I would give that a massive top tip, top review. There you go. And if it's good enough for me and good enough for Dominique, then they definitely want to read. Here we go. We've got a hello there from hello Nick and Dominique from Carol Berzins. So lovely to see you, Carol. And guys, if you've got any questions for Dominique, obviously, pop them in the comments. Let us know where you're watching from. If you're watching on the replay, the old school #replay. We always love that as well. So Dom, taking us back a little while, you're saying your lovely mother's still with us. And so growing up, how did you develop into the were you speaking before authoring, or how did that develop in those early days?
Oh yeah. I was definitely speaking for a while, and that actually, man, I think it was like maybe 7 or 8, somewhere between 7 and 10. I forgot the exact year, but basically church boy, raised in the church my whole life. That's probably the place I spent most of my time outside of school and outside playing every now and then. And that is where I got my public speaking experience, because there was this poem called Hosanna, Hosanna, and I had to recite that like on a Palm Sunday before Easter Sunday. And that was during Sunday school. And then every Sunday they would have a children's inspirational moment at church. And after they would do a story or an inspirational moment, they'll pass the mic around and have kids recite Bible verses. And it would just be so excited for the parents to be like, oh, that's my baby. Oh yeah, that's my baby. She said that verse. He said that verse, and all that good stuff. And really, that was really one of the best things that could have happened for me at the time, because that was back in the late 90s, early millenniums, when our church was at its peak in terms of membership. We had 1,000 members on paper, and we in our sanctuary could fit close to 1,000. And we usually had a good 500 to 900 people attending every week. So good luck finding parking spaces if you turned up late. And just all those scriptures being in those plays, like even in my early college years, taking up the role of Jesus. And my God, I had so many lines. I'm actually glad that the director took out the whole 5th chapter of Matthew, because that was even going to be part of it too. So I had to remember, if we were basically going through the whole 4 gospels in one, it was a whole production, like it was legit. And just having that experience, and hecking with him being an experienced musical director, I'll even shout him out, Brandon Booth, good guy who's still here on this planet, still a great dude, helping me to record my lines ahead of time and playing back into my mind, actually gave me the start that I needed for what I'm doing now, because that gave me the confidence to be not shy in front of people when it comes to giving a presentation. Like when, like some of my colleagues, he'd be like, hey, I'd rather write an essay than give a speech. And then for me, it's in reverse. And he's like, you're one of the few who would actually say that. Because I'd rather give a 5-minute topic than write a freaking 5-page essay. And I could do both, but speaking is better because that's even quicker. And with hearing myself over and over again, that helped with the podcast and get over hating my own voice. So yeah, that's really how it all began. And shout out to Carol too. I need to make sure to shout out Carol, since she commented too. So I wanted to get that out there.
Cool. So coming on to your podcast, I mean, you've got such a lovely, easy style. Where do you get all your guests from? Do you have a little secret bag you just pop your little hand in and bring them out? And what triggered you to create the podcast? It was obviously to help others, but can you tell us how that evolved?
My pleasure indeed, because when you're focused on something, laser focused especially, the universe will make room for you, because like it kind of goes back to the earlier conversation of people needing people and people helping people. I was friends with one guy who's a LinkedIn expert, Mike Sheila, and he connected me with about a good 30 other authors that were out of my range. Some of them were in Maryland, some were across the country in different parts of the US. And that helped me to get basically a nice little keg of a good 10 interviews in the can. So that way I can plan ahead properly, because with my podcast, the launch is pretty interesting. We're actually 3 years now in terms of how long it's been out, but really just recording the interviews, because I knew about a good 10 or so authors already. And then when I told Mike like, hey, might as well just connect with some authors, because he wanted to help me because I helped him out. So people helping people is good stuff, as he says. And when that got me steamrolling and I got some good momentum, since I too am an author, I go to author vending events. This is pre-COVID, of course, and network with other authors, helping them get their table set up after I'm done setting up, and connecting with them, supporting each other, doing book swaps, asking if they want to be on the podcast. And then episode 32 or so in, I find out that I was actually nominated as one of the top self-help podcasts in the world, and a lot of PR people and other people who know about Steve Olsher caught wind of that, and then they kept getting all these inquiries from all these people, and that led to a 3-month backlog. And after finally getting all of those out, and people noticing that it's a consistent show where it's like, okay, this guy's reliable, he's consistent, and that's one of the keys to being in business, is being consistent and reliable, is that it really built up for itself. The only time where it felt like I was in somewhat of a point where I ran out of like backlogs was probably like last April. And when I reached out to people onto the site called podcastguest.com after setting up my own profile to get on other podcasts to promote my book, I just tested out the site out of curiosity, and then a bunch of inquiries just came back in. I get usually 2 to 5 emails a week from people pitching themselves or from PR companies wanting to be on the show. So really, it's basically being a magnet in a way. It's like basically seeing myself as a media company and keeping it professional, but still fun too, because that's the other thing too, especially nowadays. You want to at least keep it both professional and fun, because people are uptight all day, and folks are going through tough times right now. And just a little bit of sugar to make the medicine go down is definitely a good thing to do.
Oh no, I totally get that. And so would you? Now this is things, you know. I told you before, I'm an accountant by trade, so this is my analytical accountant brain kicks in and says, "So you started your podcast." Now, I would imagine what a lot of people would do if they were starting a podcast they would go and learn like the process of how to get it heard and all that. Did you do that as well, or did you just podcast away and then let it happen? Because I think a lot of people, reason I ask, because I think a lot of people get bogged down in that analysis. They have the great idea, and then they just switch themselves off into a. I say a lot of people. I'm using myself as the example.
No, you're right. You're right, man.
I had.
It's all good. It's all good. But yeah, good question. You're definitely right, because I did do a lot of analysis and preparation. I'd say, because I had the idea to start one back around somewhere between 2012 and 2014, and I started really preparing, I'd say, bit by bit in around 2016, because there was even a little kids nonfiction book about starting a podcast and being a good interviewer. Picked up that book, John Lee Dumas's book, Podcast Fire. Like, that book is probably like, I don't know, 5 years old or so. And I'd say it's still pretty darn applicable. So I did do a lot of studying and a lot of research before launching. And at the end of the day, if you go back and listen to my episodes, you'll definitely see the difference if you compare the first episode to today's episode, where the quality is a lot better today, a lot better as an interviewer, usually more active as a listener. Heck, even more of my personality is coming out more this time around as things go along. And that's the big thing. It's like, if you let paralysis by analysis be the thing that holds you back for too long, then you won't get anything done. But if you do a little analysis and then you push yourself forward a bit and actually just take the plunge and go bit by bit and say, screw it, let's do it, let's just get this thing out there, then that'll be better for you, because this is a learn as you go experience. It's kind of like life. You learn as you go. You can still learn from other people's mistakes, and their long road can be your shortcut because they share their wisdom. But there's still some bumps and bruises you have to take along the way, no matter how much you learn. So you're going to get hit. You might as well get hit now, as opposed to hitting harder later from just basically studying all day.
Yeah, I comment that is. I was just writing down your top tips there. Just I can't read my writing now, but basically, yeah, just suck it and do it. You're so right, though. This is true, isn't it? People don't realise that. Yeah, no matter what you do, you're going to take some knocks, because never has a learning path been smooth. So you learn most of things by doing, I guess.
That's the best way to learn, is really by doing and by teaching. As some people say, I know there's some people are against folks who teach something that they picked up yesterday, but it's like, all right, if they do it for maybe a week or a month, that's a little better if they have some results in their life. I mean, I'd say it's better to really learn by doing and then teach when you at least have some victories under your belt, even if it's one victory under your belt.
Yeah, because it puts you one step ahead of the person you're teaching. So that then by default makes you the expert over it, I'm guessing. So Dom, I just need to ask now. So you've got the authoring, the speaking. If someone wanted to work with you, how would that happen? Do you get people? How do people approach you to say, "Oh, Dom, can I work with you? Or can you help me?" Can you talk us through that process? How can people tap you for help?
Sure thing. So usually I just shoot them a calendar link and be like, hey, let's pick at the good 30-minute time slot, see if this will work for you. And then we'll get to chatting and we'll see what their goals are. It's like, all right, so do you want to write a book? Do you want to start a podcast? Or do you want to do both? And usually both is a great option, but it's better to pick one to start with, because it can be hard to try to really do both at the same time. Because one, if you've never done either and it's your first time doing both, and it's like, all right, you got to kind of pick one and really stick with it, because if you try to catch both rabbits, both are going to get away from you. And really just get them thoughts and see what they want their show to be about and what they want to basically talk about, or what they want their book to be about, and really just go from there and see who their role models are in terms of whether it's through podcasting or book writing. Because especially when it comes to books, nonfiction is where my wheelhouse is at the moment, because fiction is a whole nother story. You can still outline a fiction book, but it's a lot more creativity in your brain, because the nonfiction book, you can outline that and get it done in a weekend. A fiction novel, that's a whole different story, because it's a lot of character development and remembering what the heck you wrote at the beginning, if you write a bunch of words in it and all the other good stuff. So really just getting a feel of what are their goals are. Do they want to start a podcast, or they want to start a book? And if they do, what type of podcast or book they want to start? Because a lot of the podcasts nowadays, ever since the news went out about Joe Rogan getting that $150 million contract from Spotify, everybody's really been trying to get on this interview show kind of thing, not realizing and probably not knowing and probably forgetting the fact that Joe Rogan's been doing this for years on end, and he had something going on. He actually had a life outside of his show, and still has a life outside of his show. Like, he was a stand-up comedian doing play-by-play on UFC, and a black belt Taekwondo champion and instructor, and all this other stuff. So he has a bunch of businesses around the show and a life outside of the show. That just was stuff him just trucking along. And if you find an article, I forgot what it was, a couple of years ago, he mentioned how it wasn't until episode 150 that he finally got it. So it's still going to take time, even after you start, to get yourself going. So that's usually how the process works.
Yeah. And do you monetize your podcasts? Because that's something that I keep thinking I should turn some of these interviews into podcasts, not to monetize, but then just thinking down the track, I've no idea how podcasts are then monetized or anything like that.
Oh yeah, I monetize my show because it's good to have some income coming back. Because again, the show was originally for me promoting my book, and I get some book sales from the show. Also, it's a networking tool, so I connect with other people, and those other people might connect with other people that might invite me to be on the virtual summit or speak to their groups. And also, at one point, this PR company is paying me $25 per author from their group that appeared on my show. So I do monetize the show because there is some money that goes into it. It's not a lot depending on who you ask and where you are, but really that's really how I monetize it. And that even really just an awareness builder, and it gets my face in the face of other authors in front of a lot of people as possible, and getting on other shows too. So there is some monetization that happens. It's not enough to really get me to quit my day job and really do this full time, but I do get some money on the back end.
Yeah, it's just nice to get a little bit of reward, just cover, just to cover your costs and just make it. I always think just make it worth that little bit extra. I wanted to ask you. I hate to say the elephant is still in the room is obviously the super virus, and the fact that speaking gigs in person kind of dried up. so are you doing a lot? Is there a lot of speaking work online now as well, or have you noticed that?
Oh yeah, it's online, especially with schools being virtual and folks still needing some training, coaching, and management training, because like there's still money to be made out there. You just have to be in the right places to really have it drawn to you, because like with the whole Facebook Live thing, getting clients to come to you, heck, even a couple of buddies of mine landed a couple speaking contracts with schools, even though a lot of them are still working on the virtual side of the game. So there's still money to be made. It's like when it's times of gloom and doom that folks are preaching, it's your time to boom. That's really how recessions work. And some folks who are looking forward towards recessions. I can just picture certain people just rubbing their hands like Birdman, be like, yeah, I'm waiting for that new recession. All right, I wasn't expecting people to die like this, but here it is. All right, time to pounce.
Yeah, the old thing, every cloud must have a silver lining. There's a yin and a yang. That was interesting you talking about schools. I guess, and I'll find out in the UK, but yeah, I guess schools, if they're not back at school, then they still need teachers and they need people to come in and teach, because it's a different environment teaching online than it is face to face. I think that's what a lot of people have, suddenly all these people rushed to Zoom. And I remember watching I thought, I'll watch a couple of these Zoom calls as to how to use Zoom properly. And it was quite funny. I saw two, and I instantly realised I knew a hell of a lot more than the person. But actually, it never occurred to me to actually do one myself. So it just wasn't my thing. So I'm guessing, I can understand why schools would still want people to come into. There's opportunities there. Where do you see? I mean, so you've got your books. You got the new one coming out. Have you got another book coming out? Did I read next year as well? Is that?
Yes. So right now there's one more book in the works. That'll be book number 4 for me. But book number 3 is Crappy to Happy. That's coming out October the 6th this year, and it's going to be fabulous. It's me with about 24 other fabulous folks contributing stories to this one awesome book. And the person writing the foreword for this book is James Redfield, the man behind the successful book and movie The Celestine Prophecy. So he's writing the foreword to this book, and it's going to be one heck of a powerful project, because the title alone, it's a great title. And the two ladies behind this project, Ariel Patricia and Kat Canavas. I had to remember, because Patricia changed the name recently, but Ariel Patricia and Kat Canavas, two fabulous ladies. One's a U.S. veteran. She was a high-ranking official during her time here serving the country, and she's a wonderful mom and a businesswoman. She's a great role model for any lady entrepreneur. And Kat Canavas, she's actually a breast cancer thriver, as I prefer to call her, because she actually has this powerful story about how a dream saved her life. She had a dream that a Franciscan monk actually came in a dream and gave her a suture that told her that she had breast cancer. And this was after a couple tests were done from doctors saying that she didn't have it. And she went the third time to see the doctor again, and she wouldn't leave the doctor's office until they found that she had breast cancer. And they did multiple tests, and lo and behold, it was true. They actually found it. So that dream saved her life. So these two great, powerful ladies that spearheaded a great project last year, Chaos to Clarity, are doing a reprise, and wanted to be a part of that because, again, networking and helping other people, and to take the weight off of me, because I want to have a lot of books penned before I'm out of here physically. And to help that process is to basically be a part of a multi-author project especially one where it's reliable and the people behind it are professional and doing great work. And I saw what they did with the project last year, and that was one of my goals, to be a part of a multi-author book. So that's really what this book is really going to be about, turning your crappy moments into a happy moment.
Oh no, I can't wait to see that. When that comes out, Dominique, will that be on Amazon, or is there a big? Would you go on a big book tour? No, probably.
I mean, it'll be virtual. Yeah, we're going to be all over the place online. You'll see names spread out like butter on bread somewhere. So yeah.
I got half a mind to ask you to sing a song like you did on Kim. But we've never done that before on this show, so we won't start today. So there's going to be a follow-up question. Actually, was of course, yeah. So you have all this stuff now. Where do you see the future for going for yourself, Don? Where, what are the things that you want to still achieve, be known for? What would it look like to you next few years going forwards?
Next few years going forward, definitely a better business owner, better entrepreneur, hopefully full-time. And the fact that we won't need the day job, that's definitely goal number one. And to have basically multiple derivatives to make that happen, whether it's more books, courses, and getting in front of more stages and spreading the message of advancement to all that need it and all that want to hear it. And really just helping as many people as possible. And heck, even having strong relationships and still enjoying the family that I still have here. Hopefully that they're all still alive too, as well, to basically enjoy their presence as much as possible. And heck, even maybe starting a family of my own as a person note, who knows? So definitely making it a positive one, and definitely keeping my head up, because in this day and age, like where everybody wants you to keep your head down, someone's got to keep their head up and see where the heck they're going. Just don't keep your head too far up that someone will just hit you in that chin because your chin's too far up, especially if they're like a short person and they're mad that you're tall. It's like, hey, why you got your chin up? Yeah, but yeah, just definitely got to keep the positivity going.
Yeah, off the throat for sure. Absolutely. I got my next door neighbor. She's great. She's 8 years old now, Monica, and she is the Karate Kid. She's absolutely amazing. When she started a few years ago, I teased her about it. I don't tease her anymore. I've seen what she does in the garden.
Kids, man.
They're the future. But no, she's lovely. Dom, is anything else? We're coming towards the end of our time. Is there anything else that you want to share that we haven't picked up, or anything that you want to promote? How do people get in touch with you? We've got your dombrightmon.vip website address scrolling along the bottom there, Dom. Anywhere else people can find you and share you the podcast? Go North, I'm guessing.
Oh yeah, that's definitely good, and I'm definitely grateful for that. Like, thanks for keeping at the bottom, and the site you see at the bottom of the page, dombrightmon.vip. Just go to that website right there. Everything you need to know about me is right there. Quick bio, the books, and the podcast itself. And there's also a free gift when you head to that website. Just enter in your name and your email, and you'll get a free ebook called The 21 Lessons Learned from 2+ Years of Podcasting. That's really applicable not only to podcasters, but for just life, because some of the lessons apply to life as well. So definitely pick it up as a free gift, and check out the Going North podcast. New episodes every Monday and Tuesday on dombrightmon.vip or your favorite podcast listening platform.
Yeah, I see. We can get you all over the place, Dom. Well, we'll put the links in the comments as well. So, yeah, we'll get you totally covered. Dom, thank you. You've been an absolutely wonderful guest. Really appreciate your time today. And guys, this is it. It is not difficult life. You just need to get out there, enjoy it, and as Dom says, just help other people, and they will help you. And it's no bad thing to ask for help. There's plenty out there, guys. Dom, thank you so much. So you're a gentleman, and we will see you again on this show. We've got another show on Friday this week at, I don't know, 4 o'clock, I believe it is, British summertime. So hopefully the sun will still be shining. And Dom, happy birthday for a week's time, I believe.
Oh, wow. All right. Thanks a bunch, man. Can't believe it. September's freaking here, basically. My goodness.
I thought it was several weeks away, but when I then looked it up in the calendar, and it was oh, the 6th. Oh gosh, yeah, that's not far.